evening, everyone. I'm your host, comedian, magician, Danny Whitson. But it's all tricks aside, because tonight we're turning the paranormal into the normal. Join me as we explore the gray areas of reality. We're going to talk all things paranormal, UFOs, ghosts, cryptids, and aliens, and see how it's all connected. This podcast is brought to you by the Experiencer Support Association, and we are live. So if you're an experiencer yourself, or you're just plain nosy, be sure to send me your question and subscribe to the podcast. Now, get ready, because it's going to get deep. No, really, we're going to go way out there, because this is Beyond the Tinfoil Hat. What's happening, my paranormal junkies? Welcome to Beyond the Tinfoil Hat, and I'm your host, Danny Whitson. Guys, we've got a fantastic show lined up for you tonight, but first, we are broadcasting live from the E-United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network on 105.3 FM on the Gulf Coast and 107.7 FM in New Orleans. But yeah, guys, we got some great topics we want to touch on. It's been an exciting time in the UAP world. Some really interesting things happening in the United States government, which has us all scratching our heads a little bit. Also, some very interesting comments made from some other countries now about the drones and the UAP's activity. Some stuff they didn't really, cough up and tell us. So we're definitely going to talk about that tonight with tonight's guest. But before we get to tonight's guest, we got to talk about the man behind the scenes. Too nice to be mean. Everybody's favorite tech guy, Mr. Chris Green. Where you at, Chris? Here he is. There he goes. Lurking out of the shadows.
Always.
So, I tell you what, so what kind of week has it been there for you, man? How's everything going in Chris's world?
We still got lots of snow. The snow is over 4 feet now.
Oh, wow. 4 feet of snow.
Well, for little people here, for me, it's like, you know how you snow blow, well, you wouldn't know because you don't get snow, but people snow blow little paths for wiener dogs, right? Or dogs, so they don't get snowed on. It's like me. I got a nice little path to get to the snowblower and everything, and that's what I feel like. I feel like a little dog in the backyard, snowblowed a path, and that's as far as I can go. I can go to where this path goes, and that's it.
So do you guys do the whole milk and bread panic thing when it gets to 4 feet? Surely to goodness, right?
I do, but like other people, no. They're like we do, milk and bread and butter, all that stuff.
Get all the good stuff.
We got good snowplows here, so we're fine. But our where we are, they're not as emergency anymore. But like Barrie, the big cities, yes, they do have weather advisories and, state of emergency. They bring the army in and all that stuff to clear snow.
How close were you to the Toronto airport there?
That's about 2.5 hours away.
So that's that's a little ways, but yeah, did you see that, man? That was pretty.
I've seen it. I don't know how it happened. Like, I mean, it just to me, like I've watched the videos, So I think two out of the three wheels came down, and they didn't know it.
Well, I mean, the thing is, it's a pretty common occurrence for runways to look like that in Toronto, I would say, this time of year.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, that's normal. But
Yeah.
what's crazy is that maybe two of the
Yeah,
wheels.
I think the one wheel where it flipped, I think that one didn't come down.
Well, they talked about the one of the wings were bad or something on the plane too. I don't know if it was bad or what, but
yeah. So I think when it hit, it hit the tip of the wing and just because the one video that I seen was from the flight tower.
Yeah,
and that's what it showed.
And it kind of did like and when it hit, it landed and then it did a roll.
Yeah, it already started rolling. And
luckily, no one died, so that was
good.
That's great, fantastic news, and the majority of people have been released from the hospital.
That's good.
But yeah, man, very kind of a tragic kind of thing happened.
Yeah.
Hopefully, man, this stuff stops. I don't know. It's kind of weird that it seems like every 5 minutes we're hearing something about an aviation situation.
Yes.
Could there be conspiracy theories, sir, connected to that?
I think so.
It's hard. It's hard to ignore that. It really is.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder who would be the culprit, what would be the reason. I bet
you they're just going to chalk that up as malfunction or something, or weather related, and brush it under the rug, so to speak, and just leave it there. Well,
do you think? I mean, there was rumors of the Trump administration and the layoffs and stuff, or the firings of the aviation. I don't know. Who knows? I mean, I don't know if that's the case. It may not. You never know. Right now, because you don't know whose agenda to listen to point which finger at who for what. You don't know what is exaggerated too. It may not be. You may be getting the truth, or you may be getting exaggeration because another person has an agenda that they really want to push. So it's hard.
It's all politics.
It's crazy in the U.S. right now. It's definitely crazy times. And, luckily, you guys in Canada, I don't think it gets near as crazy. Nowhere near as crazy as we do down here.
No.
But other than that, how's everything else in your world? It been a good week?
Oh, it's been a good week, yep.
Now, granted, it's only Wednesday. We're not through the whole week.
Today's still Tuesday, dude.
Oh, it's still Tuesday. I got Wednesday on my mind. Sorry. I do have it. It's only Tuesday.
Yeah. Wednesday, we wouldn't be here.
No, we would not be. No, I think Wednesday, I've got a lot going on, so that's where my mind is. But other than that, it's Tuesday. We're 2 days in it. So far, so good. And tonight's guest, we did have some technical problems, but they will be on here soon. And matter of fact, there he is. He's popping up now. And let's see if did we get a video? I don't know, but I tell you,
I don't think we're getting a video, but
that's okay if we don't, because we still got his lovely voice. Videoless. Well, I'll tell you this. Let me bring him up here real quick, Chris. Chris, it was good talking to you, brother. Boom, let's bring him. But I'm going to bring our guest up tonight. Folks, we got a fantastic guest tonight. Not only is he a very dear friend of mine, he's also an amazing musician and also probably one of the best drummers you'll ever hear. And I'm not just saying that because I like him and I think he's got cool hair. No, really, he really is that great. And he's also my favorite conspiracy theorist. Now, tonight, we do have him on the show. You're going to be able to hear his voice, but you're not going to be able to see his face because we couldn't get the video worked out. But as long as we can hear him, that's all that's important. So, guys, let's welcome Kenny Smith.
Hey. How you doing,
Dan? Well, first of all, man, I want to say thank you for being on the Beyond the Tinfoil Hat. And you are by far, one of my favorite people to talk about on this topic. I believe me and you could talk for hours and hours and hours about everything.
Absolutely.
But I tell you what, if you don't mind, real quick, introduce yourself just a little bit to the viewers. Nothing too crazy, but just let
Right.
them.
Well, there's not a whole lot to say here. I mean, it's
Well,
basically
you are a drummer. You're an
right.
amazing
Well,
drummer.
yeah, I'm a musician, and that's my world. The creative arts. Went to college, Berkeley College of Music. Studied. Went on the road, did the whole thing. But I never felt like anything was quite right in the world. Everything always just nothing made sense. And I was always questioning things, and seems around 2005, it all hit. And it was a lot to do with 9/11. And I saw a few documentaries that just absolutely, completely floored me and changed my world. And I've been an insane person ever since. And so, but I'll tell you, I've spent a lot of time reading a lot of books, watching a lot of documentaries, following a lot of folks, and trying to figure out, what the answers are. What are we here for? What are the big, asking the big questions and trying to find the big answers.
And and I think we've talked about this before, and that it seems like the world really did change after 9/11.
Yes.
And you remember how things were pre 9/11. We look back and we're like, man, life was great.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then 9/11, kind of gave a whole new reality to things. And now I didn't dive right into looking at 9/11 right away. I didn't get into this until much later. But any blind person, you could be a blind person and tell that there was a lot of crazy caca with 9/11. Things that just did not make sense.
Yeah. I mean, as things come up, you're looking, and it doesn't make any sense at all. And then the more you learn, you start looking, and it's like they even look guilty. Certain people look very shady and guilty, and it just. It just adds to you, it adds. It's like, oh my gosh, the world is not as I thought it was.
Yeah,
And I studied everything I could on that, and I started moving into other subjects because that's the way it works. And it got deep down the rabbit hole. It got really depressing, because when you learn, everything about the Rothschilds and the whole control mechanism, it's very depressing. And I've got to say that I started having a really hard time with it. And also, as you're learning these things and you're trying to talk to people, and nobody wants anything to do with it. There's people that just aren't interested, or else it scares the hell out of them and they can't handle it. And so I went through a really tough period, and I just didn't, I kind of lost hope. And about 8 years ago, that changed. And I think that's where we are now. We're seeing where disclosure's coming. I think good things have happened, and I think there was hope.
The one thing that we just had pop up was Representative Luna, her and the Disclosure Task Force. I do think that she is passionate about what she's trying to do. Now, I'm still very skeptical if they will really truly get anywhere. Because, I mean, she's going at now. The JFK files are supposedly going to be out there for us. And Representative Luna, she believes there were 2 shooters, which I believe I believe you're an idiot if you think it was a single shooter these days, Yeah,
exactly.
And that's just common sense. And then she talked about the 9/11 files. Now that's one that kind of ifs me a little bit,
right?
Because know how deep and dark that gets.
Well, I'm going to tell you. I've been paying close attention to this thing, and I'm going to, without getting political, I'm going to tell you, I really do. I think Trump's going to do it. I think he's going to get this done. I think we're going into. I literally think we're going into a new age. I mean, we're tearing down the old and we're going into something completely new. The as far as Paulina Luna, you know, there was I was watching some back and forth with her and a certain person that is kind of high up in the conspiratorial world, and she knows this person, and they were talking, and it was like, don't just come out and tell us what you want, what we, hide, and let us see it too, release it all. And the way I heard it was, she's like, absolutely, we're going to release it all. The only reason we have a committee is so we make sure that people don't miss anything. We're going to go through it with people instead of just, doing a dump, a big bulk dump, and not everybody's gonna read it all, and then the news is gonna pick it apart and pick what they want to not tell you, because the news aren't gonna tell you nothing.
No.
So that really impressed me, and behind her, she's got Eli Crane, she's got Nancy Mace, she's got Laura Brobart, and Brandon Gill, Eric Brunson, and I know you know who Tim Burchett is.
Tim Burchett is, yeah.
I'll tell you,
Knoxville's very own.
Yeah, exactly. And he has been a dog on this thing. He's gone up there and he's fought for disclosure. So I'm really excited. I really think now. At first, I don't know. We might hit some bumps, and but it's very exciting.
It is exciting. I worry for their safety a little bit because it's that, that's a very real thing.
Right. Yep.
And it's interesting though how the things she is going after, and maybe what we're going to learn, that's kind of exciting. The 9/11, like I said, that's a real dark one, and the Epstein files that was mentioned too. And there's already weird stuff about the Epstein case. It's like, what happened? Where's these names? Where's
now I've got some news on that. From what I understand, we're waiting. Kash Patel, they're waiting to confirm. They've been putting him off. They're very, very scared of this man because he's going to come in. He's going to turn the FBI upside down. And I think we're going to learn, just like we've learned with USAID, how we have been they've just been sending money to everything. Just shocking stuff. The things that they've been doing with our money. It's unbelievable. Well, with Kash Patel, from what I understand, whenever he gets in there, that's going to be the first thing he does. He's releasing the Epstein list, and then they're working on getting to the Epstein files, and it's coming.
Now, and here's my issue. This is the problem that I've had with, and it doesn't matter who the president is. I don't care who's in office, who the president is.
Yes. I don't want to get political.
But I have an issue. I do have an issue when, first of all, the Pentagon has never passed an audit in the history of being audited. They've never passed an audit.
Exactly.
We can give billions and billions of dollars away to other countries to fight their wars.
Right.
And whenever we have a natural disaster to our own citizens, we give them $700 and a moon pie. What's that about? I have a big problem with that. And, I'll say this. I'll say this right now. I used to say, my social, I'm liberal on my social issues and I'm conservative on my financial issues. But you know what? I'm really not conservative at all on my financial issues. We're the richest country in the world.
Right.
And we have enough money to take care of our people. If you want to know the truth, there shouldn't be no homeless people. There shouldn't be any of these issues in this country because we have the money, but we're doing ridiculous stuff.
It's being tracked. It's being tracked that it's actually funding terrorism even. It's unbelievable where this money is going, Danny. And I think that it's going to be funny to hit ears, but this is just my humble opinion. And I think this is ultimately, and I think sooner than later, I think ultimately this is not going to become left, right. This is not going to become, liberal, conservative.
Yeah.
This is going to become a case of good and evil. And that's where, and just
and it definitely exists.
With the research I've done, the things that are going to be uncovered here in a matter of weeks are going to flatten the world.
God, dude, and it is happening fast, Kenny. It is.
It's real fast. Yeah, they're not playing.
Now, let me ask you this, because this was interesting news that popped up, and I think I even sent you this YouTube link. It was from a fantastic podcast out there that plays.
Yeah, is it about the thing that happened in Taiwan?
No, what was it? China? Was it China's general that acknowledged? He said, "Look, dude, these are UFOs, UAPs. This looks like a fleet of alien origin. We don't know what this is, and it's a fleet of them."
Yep.
And I mean, he just plain out and said it. It was China said it. Yeah. I think if we're not careful, there's a big chance that one of these other countries are going to be like, you know what, dude, we're tired of playing games here. So, I mean, what did you think about that?
Yeah, that was really pretty awesome to hear. I mean, it's like we wait to hear stuff like that. And, years ago, hearing Canada's defense minister say, oh, yeah, the UFOs are real. Not only are they real, but we're working with the aliens, and the Americans are very close with the aliens, and we actually have star fleets and everything. And it's like, that's a defense minister, So, but hearing him say that just goes to show you I think there's a plan. And it's a slow kind of just trying to ease people into it, And I think it's been going on, but I think it's just slowly easing it in. And I think that was what that's part of what we were seeing there, brother.
Well, to me, I think I guess the spokesperson for Trump's admin, I'm not sure what her name is, but she was talking about the drones, and in the report, this was the funny thing. Now, in the report, she said that most of them were approved by the FAA and performing private research, and then the other ones were hobbyists and other people. And I get it. Okay, well, I'm not saying that you're lying. Okay. But what were they? What private research? Because there were other reports of things like a drone, not drones, but like orbs.
There was plenty of people filming stuff like that.
Yeah,
there was a lot of oddities going on up there. Yeah, there was a lot of things like that filmed, and so I think they just kind of like muffled through it.
I think they did too. Yeah, I think they threw that out there, like they didn't lie, but they didn't, spill the whole can of beans either.
And I'll tell you, on a side note, Trump has mentioned, and there's been others that have mentioned that we have technology, and that we've got the goods. At one time, I can't remember the guy's name, a famous scientist. He said we can send ET home.
Oh, yeah.
He said, we're there.
I almost know. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
It was, it said we could send ET home. And I think we do have the and we should, just like, who knows how long they had the stealth bomber before they showed it, So, I'm sure we do have some technology, but I'm also tend to believe that we got that technology from another world. Or
well, absolutely, absolutely,
I mean, I believe in Roswell. I used not to believe in Roswell, man. I used to think that all that was garbage, and until I did a little bit of research and study myself, I thought, wow, this has happened, So, and then there was,
I'll tell you what, if I don't know if you want to check some stuff out, Project Camelot. Carrie Cassidy. Now, Carrie Cassidy's a very strong personality. I'll warn you there. But if you let's see here on Rumble, I think she's on Rumble, Project Camelot. You can go there. She has got years of whistleblower testimony that will absolutely blow you away. And it's like it leaves you just going, oh my gosh, they have a breakaway society, and there's just and there is communication, and there's a whole thing going, and there are good aliens and there are bad aliens, and I think that for a long time we have been dealing with some pretty rotten ones, and I think something's changed now. I don't know what, but something has changed, and I'm thankful for it, because I think we were really headed into a bad place.
It's so crazy too, dude, because I agree with you. I since doing this show, I've heard about the different type of races of alien, and
yeah,
it's how some are good, some are bad, what their intentions are, and I've heard a lot of the same stories. Yeah. So, like I said, there has to be something to this. There has to be.
And whenever I talk to people, that will listen for a minute, whenever they kind of pop, they I notice they start asking questions, maybe not that day, but they come back and ask a few questions. The thing I always tell people is, you don't have to believe everything, but what you do, and this is what I did. I mean, I didn't believe everything, and there were things that I got tricked on, and then there were things, what you do, you file it away, just remember it, file it away, and then you come along something else, and then you learn more, you file it away, and then you see how it resonates with you. Your gut will tell you. Your gut will tell you when somebody's telling the truth. Your gut will tell you when there's something there, So that's a little advice to, instead of closing your mind and, oh, that can't be, just go, well, I don't know. I'm going to file it away. I don't know if I believe it or if I don't, but I'm going to file it away.
And I think that's the best thing to do. Keep your doors open, but also, be skeptical to whatever walks through that doorway.
Exactly.
And you and do your own research. You're responsible for doing that.
That's exactly
you
right.
just walk around believing everything you're told, well, then that's your fault. You're the idiot.
Right.
You need to go do your own research, and that's what I've learned to do. To go do my own research and go check on things myself. But it's definitely interesting times that we live in. There's so much going on. And I think we are on the brink of some historical information coming to light to the whole public.
Yeah.
And never in a million years, dude, did I think we would be ever see anything like this, like the transparency type, department that Representative Luna's putting together to try to get answers and get things out, released to the public. It's all, it's interesting times. But I'll tell you what, Kenny, what we're going to do, man, we got to cut to a commercial break for our sponsors. And when we come back, man, we'll dig into some more disclosure talk. How does that sound?
Beautiful.
All right, guys, we'll be right back after these messages. Hang out.
Are you an experiencer of unknown phenomena? Do you consider yourself a paranormal journalist? Do you investigate strange sightings in the sky? Or do you study the expansion of the human mind? You are not alone. Welcome to TESA, a one-stop shop that offers multiple services to experiencers. Place where we can work together. Place for us to learn. Place for us to grow. A place for us to change the world. Join us today.
Have you ever wondered, or maybe just thought to yourself, if there were others just like you? You know, people with extraordinary abilities, psychogenic advancement, and perhaps unique intuitions. Maybe you just wondered if there were other people who experienced unimaginable, unexplained, or even unusual and paranormal events. Are there people who have more questions, more fears than answers? Well, you're not alone. You've never been alone. We believe you. Sign up for EA today.
It's not the strongest species, nor the most intelligent that survive, but the ones that are most adaptive to change. Join us for Beyond the Tinfoil Hat, live on YouTube, Facebook, and wherever you get your podcasts.
Don't miss live interviews on Beyond the Tinfoil Hat, the latest declassified Canadian UFO documents, or an inside look at groundbreaking investigations. Subscribe on YouTube today for free.
If you want to really find out about Ryan, ask him about all his work and UFOs in Ontario.
Ryan is one of Canada's leading new UFO investigators. He conducts and oversees UFO investigations on a constant basis. He's compiled a tremendous amount of data regarding UFOs in Canada.
I have used his research extensively. He's much more than a one-dimensional character. He's an authority on UFOs and investigating them, Meg.
Wow!
Really goes over how UFO investigations are done and what are some of the mistakes that people make when they submit evidence. For starters, don't edit your videos or photos before you send them.
He would come out with an annual report on not only the number of sightings, but how many were unexplained, unknown, or just, nothing could be said. What caused
it? If you want to hear more follow-up conversation between Ryan and myself, you can go to richardolanmembers.com, where we have a candid conversation on ufology, the paranormal, and more. And remember, while we learn and grow and search for the truth, let's be good to each other.
All right, guys, if you're just now tuning in, we've been talking to my favorite conspiracy theorist and the world's greatest drummer and my good friend, Kenny Smith. Kenny, all right, man. So here we go. Let's talk about disclosure, because like I said, there's so many little rabbit holes and stuff that we can twist down and go down. But it gets wild. It really does. What? It does. So, but one thing I found this funny, because, I do have this conversation with people. Sometimes it pops up, hosting the podcast and whatnot. And it's funny because most people, they enjoy their lattes. They enjoy their television shows. They go to their 9-to-5 jobs every, Monday through Friday. And then they get, engulfed in the little life that they created until one day they're old enough to retire and they can sit on the rocking chair of the front porch and watch the sun go down. That's their big plan,
Right?
Nobody really wants to pay attention super closely to reality, and it's until they have to. And my thing is, I don't think that it's something that they just, oh, you're crazy, but that stuff's not real.
Right.
I think that a lot of them are too afraid to think
Yep.
and look at that because they don't want anything to disturb that little reality that they've created. And, but I say fortunately, because, it is really, it's changed my outlook on all of reality. This podcast, for one, talking to a lot of guests, a lot of people. And like I said, I'm doing my own research.
Yeah.
It's opened my mind to a lot of things. And I see that there's much more to reality than the things that we can touch,
Right.
So, but yeah, once you go down, you're kind of cursed a little bit though, because you just can't go up to anybody and start talking to them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, there's that thing where you go, you go so far, and there's no turning back,
No.
And I just refuse to live a lie. That was just with me. I just couldn't live a lie. I couldn't act like that I didn't know what I knew, and I couldn't just, it just got to the point where, I just didn't fit in anymore, and the thing of it is God works like that, I mean, or whatever, your higher spirit, if people have their high, but life is like that, it's like it sends you on these journeys and weeds people out and opens up these doors, and, it's just part of life, but I wouldn't change a thing. I wouldn't change a thing as far as learning. I would hate to not know the things that I would hate to be blind. I listen to people talk. I'm like, oh, if you only knew.
Well, now looking back, yeah, absolutely. Me too. Because, with me, I started out, of course I grew, I went to church as a kid and you had that, in a Baptist church. So, fire and brimstone and it's got to be like this by the Bible. And
Right.
then later on, and when I got into the magical arts, one thing that happens to you in magic is when you start learning how the human mind is deceived.
Yeah.
And you start learning all these different layers. There's so many. A lot of people have no clue. When you see a secret to a magic trick, I know the secret now. No. There's so much more to magic psychologically. A lot of things that people have no clue, that when you get your real, true, great magicians who are masters at all of these, and not just misdirection, making you look over here while something over here. Then you got sleight of hand. Then you've got the voice. So many things. There's so many things, so many layers of deception there. And whenever you truly understand that art of, that aspect of the art and things, you begin to question other things. And a lot of magicians, I'm not saying all, but there are a lot of magicians out there who are atheists, who don't believe in anything. And it's just because they're a little bit cynical to certain things, because they know how to make it look like you're reading someone's mind, or they know how to do these things. So you automatically dismiss it as all yes, but that's not how reality works. There was one time to where I kind of had that, I thought, I'm a magician, so I know this, you're not going to fool me with anything. Ghosts aren't real. Aliens aren't real. None of these things are real. And then it wasn't until, I started putting two and two together, had some of my own experiences, had to question my own realities. And then actually, it opened my mind and then started seeing things a little better, I've went through different stages. I was an atheist for the longest, and now I consider myself spiritual, which I always used to laugh at that, but I am a spiritual person. And here's the thing is, why not believe in a God? I think it's stupid, first of all, if you don't, because I mean, how depressing is it to believe that when you die, there's nothing after here. It's just dirt,
Right.
First, that's a pretty depressive way to look. But also, I think if you want to look at even a scientific, that there has to be some type of designer, some type of method to this madness.
Well, Dan, we can talk about that for a second. I mean, we could get real deep on that. I mean, you flip on ancient aliens, and what are we talking about? We're talking about the Anunnaki. all day long. And, whenever you really learn the story of the Anunnaki, it freaks a lot of folks out that are very religious, and that's something. It's a hard balance, and they're like, well, what about Jesus, and what about? And the thing of it is I think that's still there. I think,
it is.
But it's like these oldest tablets talk about God. They talked about God, and some of the things they broke apart and warred against each other. And some of the things they created, they were worried about God's justice on them. And but whenever it's said, now I'm just telling the story. It's said that I believe Enki created man. That he created, in the story. Now this is the Sumerian tablets, the oldest tablets known to man. When he did it, what caused the rift? Okay, they were making slaves to work and do their digging and their bidding and blah, 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 blah. But what he did is he took a liking and he made man, and he put extra in. And if the extra can be harnessed, then we would be more than them. Okay, that didn't set well with the brother. That didn't sit well with a lot of them. And so there's been a lot of war. So kind of like in a nutshell, it's kind of like maybe some bad Anunnaki are wanting to destroy us before we can find our potential. That's just amazing. And through that, all those religious, all the religious texts talk about so many different things. Also, what Jesus said, you can do as I do, but more. And, it's like we have, okay, how about, there is no, in the human body and in nature, there's no such thing as junk. And they call the DNA that is not filled, they call it junk DNA. I don't think so. It's just not happening. It's just not filled yet. And we only use 9-10% of our brain.
The thing on Jesus.
Yeah.
The thing on Jesus, I think I'm a big fan of Jesus. I am. I'm a huge fan of Jesus. Everything Jesus said was super dope. I love Jesus. But I do think he is tremendously misunderstood about about a lot of things he was saying.
I think there's some people that wrote it the way they wanted to write it. Control, control. And they don't talk about what he did that 33 years up until he was 33. He's a baby, then he's 33. Well, what did he do in between? And when you start filling the spaces there, you really learn a bigger story. And it's like, why don't they tell us about this? And
there's a lot of things, the Dead Sea Scrolls. Remember, they found those, a lot that didn't make it into the final film. But
Book of Enoch, there's your aliens,
And what's also interesting is like this we're gonna jump to something else here.
Sure.
This is something I couldn't help for thinking about. But how they talk about the giants in the Bible and the mention of giants, and then there's more onto that. I know that's a whole rabbit hole thing on its own. But this is something I was thinking about. This is something, and tell me what do you think about this? Okay. First of all, yes, folks, dinosaurs are real. I believe that dinosaurs existed. I do believe, but now this is where it gets a little weird in this world. Just think about it. It may be no connection, maybe completely caca, but it's still fun to think about. So Kenny, when we were talking about the alien races, okay. Now, one of the most famous ones that are also known to be jerks are the reptilians.
Yes.
Okay, now hear me out. Hear me out, dude.
I'm hearing you, baby.
We're going to crazy land now for a minute.
Not really.
Well, here we go.
Another thing talked about in the Bible. Yeah.
But here, what if, like when we do look at dinosaur fossils and a lot of stuff. What if we're just digging up like ancestors of the reptilians that have been here for millions of years?
Right.
What if there's a connection there? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What if there's some type of, what if the reptilians were actually, you know, what if this was their planet too? You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know the whole.
Well, it's been said they were here before us.
So
And,
yeah.
And they got chased into caverns, underground caverns, and they were kind of part of. Whenever I was talking to Anunnaki, they were kind of a part of that. They were a part of that war, and there was a design that these are highly advanced, the Anunnaki, and they had worked to the point where they had made certain a line of reptilians that could shapeshift, could literally, like, you know, so you know, with all that being said, I'm trying to Schneider. There was a geologist. His last name Schneider, Phil Schneider. Okay. If I've got some documentaries from this man, and what a true hero. He couldn't take it anymore, and he came out and he told his story that they were building domes. They were building these big underground out. I think that, I don't know, in Nevada or somewhere, you know, out west. They were building out, and he was a part of that. And they had a hole they were needing to go down and inspect. Okay, so they go down. They're being lowered down into there, and they had this. There's a rotten, terrible smell, and they get down there, and there's reptilian aliens, and they start getting attacked. And there's a battle. Okay, and this guy. He holds up. He lost 2 or 3 fingers. His rib cage, part of his rib cage, is missing. He said I don't know, some military guy saved his life. He shoved him onto a elevator and pushed it to go up. And I think there was 53 of them, and only 3 of them lived out of all the guys that went down there. And the thing of it is, the guy, he had the receipts, man, and he has so much proof. Anybody looks Phil Schneider up, okay? This guy, he did like 60. He was traveling around. He did like 60 conferences, and then he just happened to just pass away, you know, just like everybody does, with a piano wire wrapped around his neck. I'm not kidding. They killed him. Yeah, oops! I fell on that piano wire, and
it just wrapped around my neck. It was crazy.
Yeah, and my gosh, that guy, the information that guy had, but it was it's compelling. It's compelling. I mean, it's like, it's hard to one of those things. The gut. Whenever I was going back to the gut, my gut was like 100%. This guy is telling. He's telling the truth, you know.
And so, I mean, you can tell, dude. I swear, there's a sense of, you know, you could tell when someone is very passionate, and you could tell that they've seen something, they've experienced something. What they're telling you is the truth. And one of the key indicators with liars is sometimes liars will add details that shouldn't be there, but they're doing it just to sugarcoat, to pile it on, you know.
Yeah.
And you can also tell when someone is telling the truth. And I mean, now granted, don't get me wrong, your sociopaths will get by you all the time.
Right. Well, yeah, they're a special breed. They're a special breed
of human. But you have these other people, like, that's one thing that got me with the Roswell incident and some of the interviews that these 80-year-old women were saying, which, why would you still lie? You know what I mean? You have nothing to prove, no reason to lie.
Exactly.
And, I mean, you know, human beings respond to incentives at that point in your life. You know, there's not a whole lot of incentives outside of soft crackers and tapioca. You know, why are you still lying? But so, and I agree with you there. There's times that you can see testimonials and stuff of people talking, and you're just like, that person's telling the truth. I do want to, I want to talk about one more person that convinced me real quick, but then I want to bring this up to you too. The Bob Lazar, dude, when I'd heard the story in the past, but whenever I saw him on Rogan and he was telling the story, I was like, why this man has no reason to lie.
Oh yeah. That man went through so much hell. Oh my God.
He did. I mean, to go through what that poor guy went through, I mean, it makes no sense at all for him to lie. But I do want to bring this up real quick. Yeah. A musician, and you being a musician, and if you haven't done this, you need to go hear this guy's story if you've never heard it before. Billy Corgan, did you hear his story about seeing? You already know, Kenny. Well, man, the viewers and the listeners, in case you guys have not heard this story, you could go hear Billy Corgan's shapeshifter story. I believe it was on what show was it on? Howard Stern show. I believe he's telling Howard Stern.
I think it is Howard. It is. It was Howard Stern. It was
Howard Stern. Billy Corgan tells how he literally saw someone he knew as a shapeshifter right in front of him. Once again, hearing Billy Corgan tell this story, I'm like, this guy cannot be lying. He does not sound like he's lying. Why? And would a famous musician have any reason to lie, and tell a story like this? You know what I mean? There has to be something. There has to be something to it, though. There has to.
Yep. There's a guy, William Tompkins. He was had the highest of classified, levels. He literally at the end of his life, he was telling how he was he would design ships and everything, and that's how he kind of moved up. And he would said that he was designing spaceships because we were building them, and he talked very openly about the aliens and about everything. He actually, back to Carrie Cassidy, he did an incredible interview with her before he passed away. He was like 98, 93 or something. He was very old. But in that interview, there is some really mind-bending things. And if you've ever felt somebody telling the truth, I mean, this guy, he doesn't seem like he's capable of lying. He's that kind of, he's like your grandfather, that is just, he's from that time, and he's just so heartfelt. And he talks of these reptilian aliens and how horrible they are, and some of the things they've done. And he'll only go so far. It's chilling. But, that's one heck of an interview that'll give you a snoot full for shape-shifting aliens. And he talks about them walking around and them being in government as well.
I've heard those stories, man. I've heard, and you got to be honest, Kenny. Sometimes you meet a real ugly mofo, and you're like, "Man, is that one of them reptilians? Let me touch his face."
I know, man. Whenever I'll tell you, when I lived in Boston, I would get on the T, and I'd be riding around, and I'd come across people every once in a while that just for something made my hair stand on end. And I'm like, "There's something not right about that boy." There's something is not right.
Like, man, dude, you look a little weird.
Yeah, I just got a bad vibe off of you, brother. But every once in a while you just see somebody real ugly and you wonder.
Yeah, you do, dude. You can't help it. You can't wonder. You're like, man, I don't know. But it's like I said, there's something to it. There's something out there. This is the cool thing, Kenny, which I knew this would be an awesome conversation. And guys, we didn't have, but we do got Christy and we got Lisa. Hey guys in the chat there. Thank you guys for hanging out in the chat. And I knew this would be a fun conversation. I told Chris,
I hope we can do it again, man.
I was like, dude, we have talked 9/11. We've talked disclosure. We've talked aliens, reptilians. We've talked Jesus. We have talked. We've been everywhere. We've talked Billy Corgan. We've talked. I mean, this has been this has been Backstrokes Conspiracy Land with you, brother.
My gosh, I tell you, yeah, I live it, brother.
Well, let me do this now. Are you currently you're currently doing your own thing with your music right now, correct?
Yeah. And I'm just doing some recording and stuff. I'm not as active playing in bands and everything right now. My shoulders have kind of given me a hard time, and so doing the energetic live show is a problem at this point. But I'm happy as can be. Everything is going great with everything I'm doing right now.
Do you have anything out?
I don't.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay. I wanted to double check. Check because, guys, I'm not blowing smoke when I say he is a heck of a drummer. He really is, and he's done some fantastic stuff in some great bands. But I tell you what, Kenny, man, dude, I will be in touch with you. But I just want to say, we got to wrap things up, and I just want to say, man, thank you so much for coming on Beyond the Tinfoil Hat, and we will definitely get you back on.
Thank you so much for having me, and I really hope to come back and we can pick a subject and just go to town, my brother. I love you, Danny.
I love you too, man. All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed that conversation as much as I did. Like I said, man, Kenny can take things. Dude, you bring it up, Kenny's heard about it. He has heard about it. He is your conspiracy theorist. And like I said, everything, it starts out a conspiracy, but there's been a lot of things that turns out to be Truth City. And Kenny is your man. He's very passionate about these things. He gets down deep, dirty, and he gets the answers. So, but I've enjoyed that conversation. Like I said, I knew it would be everywhere. If you guys have not done so, head over to the experiencersupport.org. Check out some of the articles there by Ryan Stacy, some of the investigations that he is publishing. Also, head over to our Patreon page at Heed the World and show us a little bit of love. A little small donation will get you access to some articles there on the experiencersupport.org. And if you got any investigations, anything you'd like Ryan to check out, reach out to him. He's there. It's a safe place. And he will try his best to get answers for you. If you guys have not done so, be sure to like and subscribe and tell your friends about the podcast and spread the word. We are streaming on all the platforms and right here on YouTube. Be sure to let them know. Share the channel. And let's see. Also, show me some love at Super Magic Boy on Instagram and Danny Whitson Magic Comedy on Facebook. And folks, like always, we are broadcasting live from the E-United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network on 105.3 FM on the Gulf Coast and 107.7 FM in New Orleans. Guys, my name is Danny Whitson. This has been fun, and I will see you guys next Tuesday with a brand new guest. All right, that does it for this episode of Beyond the Tinfoil Hat. A big shout out for tonight's awesome guest, and a bigger shout out for everyone who tuned in. And if you haven't done so yet, be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube or wherever it is you listen to your podcasts. And like always, be sure to stay curious, heed the world, and keep the paranormal normal. I'm your host, Danny Whitson, and this has been Beyond the Tinfoil Hat.